How cute are these little slippers? I got these at TJ Maxx today for like $10. They're so adorable. I'm gonna wear them for the rest of the year. Hello. So I have my like big pillow here in the bed, and honestly, after writing over 3,500 words so quickly yesterday, yeah, I just kind of broke my brain a little bit. And then we have fundraiser starting tomorrow. It's been a lot of stuff going on, so I don't know that I'm gonna really write today. And that is okay too. Doesn't make for much of a writing vlog to have a 0 writing day. But instead of writing, let's chat about doing a writing retreat. So I won't obviously be able to show you a writing retreat in this video, but I have a lot of experience with retreats. So let's just have a little chat about it. I think before we chat though, I'm obviously in my little cozy comfies. Evie and I bought these matching PJs, and we're just going to wear them all year. George and I were talking about decorating for Christmas maybe this weekend, which is a little earlier than we usually do it, but I think it's time, it's fun. And I think I'm just going to make some tea or hot chocolate, and then let's chat. So I'll be right back. Okay, we're going to get cozy, and I have never used this microphone, so I'm feeling like an influencer. Ah. Okay, anyway, I'm sitting in front of my plotting wall. I have some notes. Let's talk writing retreat. Usually on NaNoWriMo, Rough Draft Diaries, I will go away, and something that I love to do for a writing retreat is to either go on Priceline and find an express deal for a nice hotel near me or an affordable hotel near me and get the best deal that I can on a couple of nights. Back when I had just Andrew was a small, wee little lad, a little tot, I used to just do one single night because that was a lot easier on the family to just do one night. But now that my kids are a little bit older, George feels more comfortable with the kids or they're in school all day, it's easier for me to take sometimes 2 or 3 nights. Preferably, I love to do 3 nights because you can work the night you're there and then you get 2 full days of writing before you have to come home. That just doesn't always work for the family or the budget. So away writing retreats are great. If you want to see some of my away writing retreats, I will link them down in the description below. But I don't think I've ever, not that I can remember, shown an at-home writing retreat. But this is how I finished The Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw. Because number one, it just doesn't always make financial sense to go away and spend hundreds of dollars over and over and over on your books, or you'll end up making no profit. But also, sometimes it doesn't work great for the family for mom to be away, or for a parent or caretaker. Maybe you care for someone in your home and you can't always be away, or you have animals or pets or a job that doesn't allow you to. That does not mean that you cannot do a writing retreat. So I am working towards planning my own at-home writing retreat, but I'm going to give you my 8 biggest tips for planning it so that in case you want to do one before November is over, or you want to join me when I do mine, then you can get yourself prepped. So here's my 8 tips for an amazing, productive, well-filling, fun at-home writing retreat. So the first tip is to really start with why. What's your purpose behind wanting to do a writing retreat? Because I know that what we often think is it's all about the word count. Like, I got to write 10,000 words. But that's actually not true, because you have your own unique way of doing things. And a lot of people can't write or don't want to write 10,000 words in a weekend or a night because it would just burn you out. So think ahead of time before you start making decisions about how long or what the structure is going to be. Just sit and think, why do I want to do a writing retreat? Do you want to reconnect with your story? Do you want to refill your well? Do you want to plot your story? Do you want to write a little bit, but also read, like watch some movies? Do you want to just immerse yourself in the story? Do you want to interview your characters? Why do you want to do a writing retreat, and what do you hope to get out of it? And once you have that answer, then you can start really planning what that retreat is going to look like for you. Tip number 2 is to choose your structure. So this really comes down to your life and how much time you can get away. So an at-home writing retreat is super flexible. It doesn't have to be an entire weekend or 3 entire days. It can just be a Saturday all day. It can just be an overnight, let's stay up all night and write during the evening. It can be 3 consecutive afternoons after work, and it doesn't have to look like 3 days in consecutive without any interruptions. So just really look at your life, your schedule, but try to find a stretch of time of at least a handful of hours a day in a row or an afternoon or something like that that you can set aside. There's obviously no rules to what you can call a writing retreat, but I would try to make it feel like it's something out of your ordinary life. Like if you can usually carve out 30 minutes to an hour a day, it's not necessarily retreat feel. It is more helpful, I think, when you call something a retreat, when it's time that you wouldn't normally be able to spend. So make it feel like it's a big deal, make it feel like it's really exciting and like you're really making a point to step outside your norm and really focus on your writing, whatever that looks like for you. Okay, number 3 is my favorite part of the process sometimes, and that is to prep your space. So the first thing I would do is identify which area of your home you want to do your writing retreat in. It could be your bedroom. If you have a dedicated office or desk space, it could be that. It could also be something innovative like taking a coat closet and pulling everything out of it for a weekend and putting your desk inside there. Like get creative if you need to. It can also mean setting a place up in your living room or in the garage or wherever you can comfortably set up a desk or set up a space to write. And just make sure that it's going to feel comfortable for you, that it's going to be something that feels special. But I also recommend, because you're doing this at home, that you clean up that space, that you really make it a space that feels special to you and it feels a little bit outside of your normal life. So clean it up. Put together a little set of pencil cups or all of your little tools that you have. Like obviously I like using Post-it notes and pens and highlighters and things like that when I'm writing. So I try to prep my space for it. So I would, because I'm lucky enough to have an entire desk or office, it's easier for me. I am super, super lucky in this house because I have a bathroom with a shower and everything. The only thing I don't have in there is bed. And you better believe me when I thought about putting in a Murphy bed in that room, because I was like, how cool would that be, if like bookshelf or something and then it turns into a Murphy bed? I don't know. I mean, I understand the logistics there won't totally work, but anyway, when I did this for the disappearance of Vanessa Shaw, I had several days in a row. And I'll tell you a little bit more at the end about what that exactly looked like. But I slept in my bed, but I didn't come to bed until 4 or 5 in the morning, and then I slept in. So it doesn't have to look like that for you, but we'll talk about schedule in a few minutes. But I recommend just picking out a space in your house that feels like it will make for a good writing retreat space for you, and then making it feel special. Put some Christmas lights up. Put together a basket of snacks for yourself, usually healthy snacks or something that's going to feel like a reward or something that feels indulgent. But I highly recommend, if you are like me and pre-diabetic and you just will have a total crash if you eat too much sugar, don't overload yourself with things that are going to make you feel lethargic, but you know what those kinds of foods are. I actually got a small mini fridge for Christmas a couple of years ago. And so that is in my office, and I will put bubble waters or Red Bull, sugar-free, whatever it may be, in there for myself for these retreats. So I don't even have to leave the room, because one thing that is sure in my house is if the kids, even if they know I'm on a writing retreat, if they're all out in the living room and I walk out there, they're going to want my attention. And so I stay as sequestered as I can. But that might not be possible in your home. You might not have a space that's dedicated for that, and that's okay too. But you can take a corner of the living room, a corner of your bedroom, put up some Christmas lights, put your tools into a little caddy or a pencil cup or something like that, and just make it feel clean and exciting and prepped for your retreat. You might also want to think about your comfy clothes that you're going to wear. Put on a uniform, put on your most comfy clothes, buy your favorite tea bags, like just whatever you can think of that will make it feel like something that is indulgent and exciting, like really romanticize it, and that can make it feel really special. Number 4 is to set a clear intention or goal. So at the beginning, I told you to decide on a why, like really think about what's your purpose or why you want to do a retreat. Now pull that all the way down and say, okay, let's set a specific goal or intention. Like instead of just saying, I want to get words on the page, maybe you would say, I want to write at least 5,000 words, or I want to finish the skeleton draft of Act Two, or I want to completely rewrite the first 3 chapters of my book. It could also be an intention that is more of a feeling, like I just want to feel really inspired, or I want to get reconnected to my story. Or it could be, I want to feel like at the end of this weekend, I want to feel like I really know my characters and then I feel like I'm in flow. So, whatever that goal looks like to you, it can just be really helpful to have a clear intention. It could also be time. So, I know that word count is not always the healthiest way to track your outcome or your progress because word count can be really variable. So, you might say, I want to complete 10, 30-minute sprints. So, you could set any of those kinds of goals. And then as you go, you can check them off. You can tell whether you did it or not. You can track how you're feeling, but it keeps you on track and it keeps you inspired throughout your entire retreat. So I think goals or intentions that have clarity to them or specificity to them can be super helpful as well. Okay, my other favorite part is number 5, which is to prep your story. So this is dependent, of course, on what type of writer you are. So if you haven't watched my video from Preptober this year about trying to figure out which type of writer you are, then I highly recommend that as a really fun video to watch. So I will link that for you down below as well. But I think that it depends in terms of how much prep you want to do. If you are a pantser, obviously you don't need to do outlines or scene cards or anything like that. But you might want to sit down with an open document or a journal page and just write out what would I like to accomplish, or what are some ideas of the scenes I might write in this story, or how is my story going so far and what do I love about it, to just get yourself excited. I personally am a plotter and outliner. So before I do my at-home writing retreat, I almost always will have either index cards that have a clear idea of each scene that I want to write, or I will have a bullet point, like a to-do list for my story for the week or for the retreat. And that just gets my mind into a place where I've made all the decisions about what I'm going to write before I sit down and start working. That way I can focus like my personal goals at a writing retreat, whether it's at home or a hotel or an Airbnb or whatever it may be, is almost always word count based. So sometimes it's editing based, but usually it's word count based. I'm just trying to get as many words on the page as possible. And for me, that means doing as much pre-work as possible on the story and the scenes and the ideas so that I can make all those decisions ahead of time. And so when I sit down to write, I'm not spending an entire evening trying to figure out what happens in the story. That for me has been the most successful writing retreats I've done, but yours, of course, might look different because number one, not everybody is capable of the same word count, which is not a judgment. There's no better because you got 5,000 words in a day versus someone who got 1,000 words in a day. It's just that we all need to have permission to work in the way that works best for our brains. And not everybody can focus that long or gets good words after a certain number of word count. So when I say prep your story, I mean, you might be experimenting if you don't know a lot about how you work as a writer. So writing retreat can be a great way to experiment with your own writing process. But in general, don't do it the way that somebody else does it. Like if you watch some of my old writing retreats, you're going to see heavy word count focus, 10,000 words a day or more. And that's just the way I act. But that doesn't mean it's better than if you do it a different way. Some of my most successful writing retreats are when I used to go off with a friend of mine who writes romances. And what we would do is we would write all day long with breaks to like go out to the beach or depending on where we were, go for a walk, go to dinner, whatever. But I would aim for 10,000 words. And whenever I hit that 10,000 words, I would spend the rest of the night reading. And I would often in a 3-day retreat finish a novel, like read a novel and write 30,000 words. And that just felt incredible. But don't compare yourself. I saw a few people in the comments saying, oh my gosh, you wrote 4,000 words in a day. That makes me feel bad about myself. But please, 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 please don't let someone else's process or word count make you feel bad. I had 3 years where I didn't finish a book. There have been other years where I've hardly written a single word. So You just can't compare where you are in your journey or how your brain works or how you work best to somebody else on the internet. So use what you can as encouragement, not as comparison. Tip number 6 is to create a schedule. So once you've decided on the structure and the goal that you have, then I find it super helpful to create a schedule. Now, again, all of these tips come with the caveat of if this doesn't work for you or this just isn't how your brain works, no big deal. Do it the way that you want to do it, obviously. These are just tips for how it has worked for me. And for me, I tend to be very detail oriented when it comes to planning, which is no surprise to anybody. But what I like to do is I will say, okay, I'm going to be there, let's say, from Friday afternoon at 4 p.m. to Sunday afternoon at noon. It's going to take me an hour to put all my stuff together. So I'll start writing at 5 p.m. I'll write from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., which gives me 3 full hours. I can write 6 writing sprints during that time. Then I will eat dinner from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then I will get to writing again from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. And that gives me another 6 sprints. So I'll set on my goal list 6 sprints in the first block, 6 sprints in the second block. Then I will also take it a step further and I will say, okay, on average in 6 sprints, I can write 500 words per sprint, which gives me 3,000 words per 6 sprint block. So I would give myself a goal or intention of writing 6,000 words on Friday night. Usually also I will bring that down a little bit. I'll be like, well, 6,000 would be like a stretch or an ideal. So let's try to write at least 5,000 words on Friday night. Then I will look at Saturday and I'll say, I know I can't just write straight from 8 in the morning to midnight. So what does that schedule look like? And I will literally time block myself through the day. I will give myself time for walks. I will give myself time for family time if possible. I will give myself time for reading or also watching something on Netflix or something else to kind of like massage my brain for a little bit. And I will love that. And sometimes I will even say, okay, I'm going to tag some of my friends and say, let's meet up on Discord for a couple of hours from this time to this time. But I like to have those sort of time blocking schedule chunks so that I can make sure that I stay on track as best as possible and that I am also setting a realistic goal for how much I'm going to write. Because if I said, okay, I'm going to get there at 4 p.m. on Friday and I'm going to write 10,000 words, but I'm only going to write 3 hours, that would not be a good goal for me because there's no way I'm going to write 3,000 or 10,000 words in 3 hours. I've never done it before, probably will never be able to do that. So that would just be setting myself up for disappointment. So I try to set that schedule ahead of time and then set my goals and intentions to make sure that I'm allowing the right amount of time for rest, for recovery, for sleep, for gaming or whatever else it might happen to be. But, and then whatever feels like my ideal average goal, I'll usually back it up a little bit. So if I say, oh, I'm going to get 10,000 words in 3 days, I'll be like, let's aim for 7,500. That way, if I go above, great. But if I can't quite make it and I need more rest than I thought, also great. Tip number 7 is to decide ahead of time what your boundaries are going to be. So what are your personal rules going to be so that you don't get distracted, so that you don't end up spending the entire retreat talking to a friend on the phone or binge watching TikTok or something like that. So my rules tend to be no social media during my work blocks. And it will also be things like no TV. Sorry, I have to look down my notes. No emails, no housework. So when you're at home and doing an at-home writing retreat, it can be super distracting if you've got laundry sitting somewhere or there's a messy space in your room or your bathroom needs to be cleaned. It's like the minute the story gets hard, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I think I need to go cook that steak that's in the fridge or whatever it might be. And you will get easily distracted because you're at home and this is the place where you normally have a lot of tasks and responsibilities. So if you want to actually carve out time for yourself to do an at-home writing retreat, what you are doing is you are committing to, I will be writing. I will be working on my story, refilling my well, or whatever that intention for yourself was. It is not a commitment to do laundry. Now, that's not to say that you can't put it in your schedule. Okay, I'm going to write from 10 to noon, and then I'm going to do some household tasks, and then I'm going to come back and write from 2 to 4. You could put that in your schedule. But the key is to set boundaries for yourself so that you don't end up spending your intended writing or working time on household chores. So I say for myself, when I'm in a sprinting block, I don't check my phone. I turn everything on do not disturb. I communicate with my family and everybody else that I am not available. And then I allow myself to like make a reel, post on social media, say hello to people, whatever, in those in between blocks. So if I said, okay, I'm going to get in at 4, I'm going to start writing at 5, and I'll write till 8 p.m. At 8 p.m., then I can have that full hour of dinner where I'm talking to friends or I'm checking social media and fine. But when it turns 9 p.m. and it's time for another writing block, all of those things are turned off. So set your boundaries. And then my final tip for a successful at-home writing retreat is to protect your time. So if you live alone, great. You don't have to worry about this. But many of us have little people in the house. We have spouses around. We have neighbors. We have other responsibilities that tend to come in. You might be caretaking for someone. You might have a roommate. You might have a partner, like whatever it may be. So one of the key pieces to having an at-home writing retreat is to make sure you communicate your reasons why, your goals, and just what you're planning to do, what your plan is to the people in your house. So with my family, what I did last year when I was finishing edits on Disappearance of Vanessa Shaw is the kids were at school all day, so I could work all day long. And then, obviously I'm a full-time author. That might not be the case for you if you work full-time, but for me, I was able to work all day. Then when the kids came home, I spent a good amount of time with the kids. We had dinner. I put Evie down, gave her a bath, put her down, read to her like normal, said goodnight. So it was usually around 8 p.m. at night. And then I would kiss my husband and say, okay, I'm going into the writing cave. And I would shut the door, and that would be my writing time. And because of that family dynamic, being a mom, etc., it was easiest for me to take that writing block. Plus, I'm naturally a night owl writer. It's just when I would prefer to do it. I just can't always do that because I have small children who have to get up and go to school every morning. But during that writing retreat time, we made exceptions. We had, George made sacrifices so that I could have this writing retreat time. And it was very precious. So I wanted to make the most of it. So I would go into my writing cave like at 8 p.m. and maybe write until 11 p.m. And then I would take a little bit of a break. I would exercise a little bit, walk around the house, grab something to drink. But by this point, everybody else is asleep. So the house is quiet. And then maybe at midnight, I would start again. And I would often just work as late as I could until I started to feel tired. So that was usually till about 4 or 5 in the morning. And then I would close everything up, make some notes about what I want to do tomorrow so that I can be ready to just sit down with those bullet points. And then I would crawl into bed, put on my eye mask so that when the sun came up an hour later, I wasn't waking up, and I would sleep. And George would get up, take the kids to school, get them ready, which is normally something we do as a team. But we communicated, he gave me that extra time, and I was able to sleep. So I would just sleep until I didn't need to sleep anymore. So if I went to bed at 3 a.m., sometimes I would wake up around 10 in the morning. But if I didn't go to bed till 5 a.m., sometimes I was sleeping till afternoon, and that was fine. I felt no guilt about it. It was a little bit of a disruption to the schedule, obviously, but that was my writing retreat time. And often on retreats, I will write late into the night because it's quiet and I just get into a flow and I enjoy it. But for you, it might be getting up early in the morning, or it might be writing in the middle of the day. And this is another kind of tip is know thyself. So if you know you write great during the night, then try to plan for a writing retreat where you can stay up late at night. If you know you're an early riser, try to plan your retreat, take a few days off work, whatever you need to do so that you can write super early in the morning. But when I would get up, I would often have like lunch with George, spend a little bit of time with him, and then back in the writing hole until I would go pick the kids up from school, spend some time with them, get them to bed, and then back to work. Whereas when I'm at like an Airbnb for a few nights, we do FaceTime calls or whatever, like a little duo call. And that would be it because they're not with me. So I could write more than I would at home, but it was really, really nice to have that time. But in order to protect that time, you really have to create a schedule that works for the family or the people in your home or for your job and responsibilities, and communicate well with everybody involved as to what you need to do when you're going to be working. If you have small children, you can even prepare some activities. So it'd be like, mommy's going to be working in the next room, but here's special art project I got for you that you can do with your dad, or here's a puzzle that you can do with your brother, or whatever it might be. Sometimes that can be helpful. Making a sign for your door that says writer at work. There are some of those signs in the Preptober planners that are inside the writing library. By the way, if you sign up for my newsletter, you already have those. Turning your phone on do not disturb to protect your time so that you don't have people calling, like even if someone is not in your home, but like your mom calls you every day, or you have a friend that calls you and wants to gab for 2 hours a day. This is the time to let them know either here's my window that we can talk, or say I will call you. Or if just talking to them or hearing the latest gossip or listening about whatever's going on is distracting to you, then give yourself a vacation from it by communicating ahead of time. Hey, I'm doing an at-home writing retreat. I'll talk to you on Monday, but I'm going to be out of pocket, unreachable for the next few days. And hopefully you have that support in your life that people will respect that for you. Wearing headphones can also be super helpful. So just especially if you have to do your writing retreat like from the living room and you've got people that are in your home, just having that space off by yourself, but putting on those headphones, it can be a game changer. When my headphones are on, you don't talk to me because I'm writing. All of that stuff can be helpful. If you have ever done a writing retreat of your own and you have tips to share with the group, please go ahead and share those. I have not yet decided when I'm going to be doing mine, but I will let you guys know. I was hoping maybe I could do it this weekend, but we have this 8th grade fundraiser stuff going on all weekend. Plus I'm doing a presentation for the New Jersey romance writers on Saturday. There's just so much going on that I can't really find that dedicated piece of time. So I'm thinking it might be next Monday or Tuesday. I just need to look at my schedule. So I will let you guys know maybe in tomorrow's vlog or in the next couple of days. But if you set up a writing retreat for yourself, let us know in the comments so we can cheer you on. And of course, you can also use the writing sprints that are going on in the Heart Breathings writing community. Those are linked in the description below as well, if you need a little bit of accountability or something to get you through. If you have any other questions about things that I didn't cover, like how do you handle this or what do you do in this situation, go ahead and leave those below and I will talk about those when I do my at-home writing retreat. So no writing vlog today, but tips on how to do a writing retreat. So if you happened to find this video and you are not sure what these daily vlogs are about, we are currently in the middle of the Rough Draft Challenge here in November 2025, and we would love for you to join us. So I will leave a playlist of these Rough Draft Diaries daily writing vlogs down below. And if you're new here, subscribe because this is the greatest community on the internet. I super love you guys, and I will see you in tomorrow's writing vlog where I will be working on episode 12 of my latest book, A Mirror of Shadows. All right, love you guys. Good night.